Reo Hatate has reported back to Lennoxtown for pre-season despite making it clear he wants to leave Celtic this summer. We have also got an update on the Kelechi Ihanacho situation as a Turkish club enters the picture, two Celtic players still flying the flag at the World Cup, a former Celtic captain described as irreplaceable by nobody, and a transfer target O'Neill is said to admire who could be heading to Belgium instead. A lot going on this morning, let's get into it. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Reo Hatate has returned to Lennoxtown for pre-season training despite the growing cloud of uncertainty over his future at Celtic. Celtic posted photos from the training complex showing Hatate back on the grass alongside several teammates. It was a notable image given that the Japanese midfielder recently made clear he wants to leave the club this summer. After 4.5 years, 10 trophies, and a mountain of memorable performances since arriving in January 2022, the feeling is that this could be his final summer as a Celt. Johnny Kenny was also pictured back at Lennoxtown. The young striker spent the second half of last season on loan at Bolton in League One, where he impressed before an injury brought his campaign to a premature end. With Celtic light on recognised strikers, he has the opportunity this pre-season to put his case forward and force himself into Martin O'Neill's plans. Cameron Carter-Vickers has returned as well, continuing his comeback from the long-term injury that kept him out since October. He was training towards the end of last season, and the hope is that a full summer will get him back to full sharpness ahead of the new campaign. Viliami Sinisalo is also back with the group as he prepares to fight for the goalkeeper's jersey, with the club still believed to be looking at options to strengthen between the sticks. 8 players are still yet to return. Those involved at the World Cup have been given an extended break and will link up with the squad later. Now for the main story, as Kelechi Ihanacho's future remains unresolved this morning, with a Turkish Super League club now entering the picture and potentially forcing Celtic into making a decision they have so far been reluctant to take. Ihanacho became a free agent when Celtic allowed the option to extend his contract to lapse at the end of June. Celtic News had previously revealed that the 29-year-old wanted to stay in Glasgow, and that position has not changed. He wants Celtic. He is waiting on Celtic. But Celtic have still not put a formal offer on the table. Now Bursaspor have emerged. According to a Turkish outlet, the club have made close contact with Ihanacho and are actively considering bringing him in. Their president Enes Çelik did not deny the interest, saying the club are still searching for a striker and that they plan to make a decision after their pre-season training camp. The timing matters here. Ihanacho's final months at Celtic were extraordinary. He arrived at the club without scoring in his first 6 months. Then in April he came off the bench at Dens Park and scored the late winner against Dundee that kept the title race in Celtic's hands. He followed that with 5 more goals as the season reached its climax. There were vital strikes against Hibs and Motherwell, a double in the Scottish Cup semi-final, and another goal in the final as Celtic completed the domestic double. Few players made a bigger impact when the stakes were highest. That is why the situation refuses to close itself. Celtic clearly have doubts, or the contract would have been extended weeks ago, but they also know exactly what Ihanacho delivered when the trophies were on the line. With Bursaspor and others circling, the wait cannot go on much longer. Celtic either want him or they do not. It is time to decide. In other news, 2 Celtic players continue to represent the club on the biggest stage in world football, as both Alistair Johnston and Austin Trusty remain in the World Cup. Johnston has been outstanding for Canada throughout the tournament. He started the full 90 minutes again as Canada came from behind to beat South Africa 2-1 in the group stage, with a 92nd minute winner sending the tournament co-hosts into the last 16 for the first time in their history. Canada face Morocco next in the knockout stages, and Johnston will be central to whatever they produce. Trusty's story has a different flavour, but is no less impressive. The United States reached the knockout rounds by winning their first World Cup knockout game since 2002, and Trusty, while an unused substitute in that particular match, had already made his mark earlier in the tournament by scoring on his World Cup debut just 3 minutes in against Turkey. That is a moment that will stay with him. The USA now face Belgium on July 7th with a quarter-final place at stake. That game carries an additional edge for Celtic supporters because Trusty could come up against Rangers midfielder Nicholas Raskin, making it very much an old firm subplot on the world stage. With pre-season already underway at Lennox Town, Celtic will be monitoring both players closely as they continue their international campaigns. In other news, questions are being raised about Celtic's long-term succession planning around Callum McGregor, with former Celtic captain Paul Lambert delivering a blunt assessment of where the club stands. McGregor returned to Lennox Town for pre-season looking fully committed to the campaign ahead, with speculation linking him to a reunion with Brendan Rodgers in Saudi Arabia having come to nothing. He has now lifted 26 major honours in green and white and continues to lead by example as both captain and performer. But Lambert, speaking to Record Sport, was clear that no player should ever be viewed as above replacement. He said, "Is Callum irreplaceable? No, nobody's irreplaceable. If people think that, then you're in grave danger. Everybody has to have a shelf life, and everybody has to think, if I don't perform well, I'm out of the team here. If Celtic can get somebody better, then they get somebody better, and then you have a fight on your hands." He also raised a more uncomfortable concern, saying, "There's no natural successor to Callum at the club. There needs to be a long-term plan, unless they have somebody coming through the academy. You look at the bench at Celtic, some are kids, whereas big, strong clubs and teams will have what can make the difference. If you don't have competition, you become stagnant. It is a fair and honest assessment." McGregor is 33. His departure may not be imminent, but it is inevitable. Lastly, a transfer target Martin O'Neill is said to admire could be slipping through Celtic's fingers this summer, with European clubs closing in on a player the club have still not formally approached. Tawanda Maswanhais had an outstanding season at Motherwell, scoring 22 goals in 44 appearances and winning a place in the PFA Team of the Year. His direct running, pace and finishing made him one of the standout players in the Scottish Premiership, and O'Neill is reported to have watched him closely throughout the campaign. But Sky Sports reporter Christopher Reedy has confirmed that while O'Neill is a keen admirer, Celtic have not made any approach for the player. Belgian side Anderlecht are long-term admirers who failed to agree a deal in January and are expected to return with a fresh offer this summer. With Motherwell's asking price believed to be around £3 million and European rivals already in contact, Celtic may need to move quickly if they are serious. The wider picture around Celtic's transfer business this summer is becoming a growing concern. The window has been open for over 2 weeks and no signings have been announced. Fans are frustrated, pre-season is underway, Champions League qualifiers in August are approaching fast. With Dyes and Maeda among those expected to leave, O'Neill needs additions, not more speculation. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.